Welcome to the Pro Talk podcast. This is season 1, where home service entrepreneurs tell their stories and share advice for winning in their communities. This podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, software that tens of thousands of home service professionals use daily in over a dozen industries, including HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. The app is easy to use and helps you and your employees deliver a 5-star experience to your customers every single time. To learn more, go to housecallpro.com/podcast. In today's episode, we're back with Brandon Stowe of Cracker Jack Appliance Repair. Brandon shares his big vision for the home service brand he's building in Southern California. Don't miss past episodes of this interview and any other episodes of the Pro Talk podcast on iTunes or YouTube.
You're talking about these one-man shows, right? One man in a truck,
Yep.
doing the work. What advice would you give them if they're thinking, I'm just doing the work right now. I'm fine. I'm doing the work. What would you challenge them in their thinking? How would you challenge them?
Yeah, I think the adage that everybody knows is that we all try to stop working in our business so that we can work on our business. And, I think that transition process is what becomes hard for many people out in the field when they are their workforce. The biggest thing is right now, for instance, in the mechanical industry, I think the chief complaint that we hear is it's hard to find someone as good as me who will take care of my customers as well as I do, who will, serve them the way that I've served them. Customers these people have had for 10 or more years, and it becomes a barrier because the customers have the same mindset. They had John, for 10 years working on their furnace, and to have a new guy named Nate come out, it kind of can feel like a deception if the company wasn't set up correctly. The advice I would give is to try to get yourself out of that as quickly as possible first. Try to start, even if you don't have people, tell your customers that you have people. Tell your customers that, someone else might be coming out, but you might be coming out. And when you finally add someone, get them used to that process to where you're running an enterprise value company. If you read The Art of the War, you can easily see that one of the biggest concepts is that when you're small, you try to appear big. You try to get that enterprise value. Part of my process of having the building first, before we forked out all our leads and everything else, was so that I can get my first few big jobs. And because I had that building, I was able to invite the district manager, the district maintenance supervisor for a school district over to my offices, and within 20 minutes I sealed a whole entire school district with 8 schools in it. We had $200,000 of work lined up with them. We had open POs of $5,000 or $6,000, and that was the first week I was in business. We barely had office furniture in the building, but we went out on a limb, and to show him that I was invested, I said, here we are, that you've got a physical place you can come to see me if something doesn't work out. You've got my you've got my email, you've got my phone number. You have the knowledge that we have a administrator who will take care of our billing process and our receiving and our shipping. And that way we can be responsive to you. So, those are small steps. Our 800 square foot building in Washington was, I think we paid somewhere around $1 a square foot for it. So we might've paid $800, $900 a month.
It's a whole lot different than California.
It's a whole lot different than California, absolutely. And I'm learning that firsthand. We just signed a lease on our 6,000 square foot warehouse and office space in Oceanside, and so we'll be moving into that very shortly. But we also have offices up in the Palomar Airport in the Atlantic building, and the rental rates are something else here. But yeah, what I would tell any entrepreneur is that when they're trying to break out of that one-man that one-man show that they're in, that they should definitely be considering, what is their employment acquisition plan? How are they going to go out to the market and find good employees? How can they be effective in providing for those employees? What benefits can they feasibly offer that are going to make people want to stay in the company? And then how do you back all that up? Do you have enough leads coming in the door? Have you prepped your customers for the change? If you can roll that out successfully, I think you can make that transition fairly easily from being a one-man show to a multiple truck organization. Yeah.
So when you're thinking about that transition, and I feel like we've got people's ears right now, those in one-man show that are considering, okay, I see the bigger picture. I know one day I'm going to need to take a vacation.
Right.
Right. I have this one friend. He has his own business. He's a rug cleaning, and he'll go on vacation. I'll be like, well, what are you gonna do with your business during that time? And he's like, no business.
Right.
And so there's just that huge risk. And obviously we'll get into different tools that you could manage your business remotely, later on in the conversation. But when does a pro know it's time to make that hire, that they can make that hire?
Yeah, first I would like to say that I commend anybody in that position who has been running for years and years as a one-man show, because it is so difficult, like you said, to have your home life and to be able to take vacations, and knowing that you have to shut down your business for a week. Most entrepreneurs don't take that chance. They won't shut it down.
Right.
So the end result is they don't take vacations. They don't take time off. They work 7 days a week if they have to. And so, the amount of effort they're putting into their business is just tremendous. It's terrific to watch these people who have been successful year after year who run that type of business. And also I would say, like I said earlier, is that the rate of success that they have, if you're happy with it, if you're making a really great pay and wage and it's easy for you and you managed your schedule well, there may not be any need to move further than that. But for the ones who do want to move further, absolutely, I would say it really, the first step is defining the plan. You can't do anything without a goal. You got to set the goal, you got to make a target, and then you have to consistently try to hit that target or get very close to it. When I started Stowe Mechanical, one of the biggest things for me was to hire my first employee. Mm-hmm. I did that in the first week of business.
Wow.
And we had literally no jobs coming in. I did that because I knew that when the jobs started coming in, I wanted to be over-prepared instead of under-prepared. Now, my mistake was that I hired my first employee within the first week of business, because the first week I drummed up business. I hustled really hard. I called old customers and we filled the week of the schedule. The second week, not so much. The second week was dead. The third week was dead. And then it came time for payroll and we were out. And so I lost money that month. And with the truck and with the building and, me taking out that loan and putting my own dollars out of my bank account back into it, one of the things that I talked to my wife at the time, and, it was scary. It was one of these instances where we were like, okay, this is make or break now, because we thought we had a little nest egg for the business. We poured it out in the first month.
Right.
The second month was going to be a big challenge. So I started just getting really strategic. How do I launch a business, still keep this guy on board? He came with a lot of skill and he was not a person that I wanted to let go. So what I did is I started calling all the newspapers. I called every single newspaper I could. I called every press release. I just went bonkers, day and night. I stopped at 11, 12 o'clock every night, just trying to get people to understand that we were here, that we had a presence. And this was before House Call Pro was around, but this was really before everybody, with small companies was flocking to platforms like House Call Pro, and so we started with paper, like everybody tries to start with. And when we did this, the sheer amount of work that I had to do to put a business management system in place that was going to actually bring some leads in was exhausting. Yelp wasn't very big in our area yet. People weren't garnering reviews at the rate that they're garnering reviews now. You can get 3 or 4 or 5 reviews in a day if you have a couple staff running around. And back then you got 1 review a month. And if it was a bad review, all of a sudden you were a 1-star company because you didn't have enough good reviews.
Right.
And so you could be put out of business fairly quickly. That was hard to overcome. So I went to all the newspapers. I got the press releases done. We went to the Business Journal. I'm a veteran of the Air Force, and so I started using that. I started grabbing hold of everything that might make people call me like, hey, we're a veteran-owned business, and hey, we do this. I started talking at all the veteran ceremonies, and I teamed up with the VFW and American Legion, and started going to all the events, and did the lead speech for Veterans Day in our small community, and that's finally it started picking up again. It's a road that I probably would not go down today. There are much smarter ways, obviously, to start and run a business with the gambit of online advertising that's out there, the power of the click. is so large now, and it's centric. It's something everybody should be doing. You can take a one-man shop out there, a guy in a truck, and you can put ads on Facebook now and inundate yourself with business. You can go on to Yelp and sponsor yourself. You can go on to Angie's List. You can go on to Home Advisor and start ads and end up with 40, 50 calls a week just from those 3 sources, and that's enough to hire another person. So you can start the ball rolling fairly cheap. Most of them bill you out, so you get that net 30 to kind of get the work in and kind of pick it up and go from there. So there are ways to do it. We cut our teeth the hard way, and then we learn the easier ways. Having a program like House Call Pro has been fantastic for our business because we've been able to track our employees. We've been able to look at the KPIs. We've been able to develop much smarter business systems within our company that really turn up our pace, turn up our customer relationship management, and of course that's what this platform's for. It's so we can continue to offer 5-star service every time we get a customer engaged with us. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's really important in business.
Thanks for catching this episode of the Pro Talk podcast. Make sure to subscribe to get notified when future episodes come out. And if you're listening on an iPhone, please leave a quick review on the Apple Podcast app. Watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe below.